I think Islam can control him, but if Volkanovski goes out there and just fights, fuck the technique. Just go out there and fight. It's tough, man.
Yes.
You gotta go out there and just fight, like kind of how Raymond Brewster fought Vladimir Klitschko.
Yes.
You gotta go out there and know that, hey, I might get knocked out, submitted, but if I go out there and just fight and stay in his face and just make it a dog fight, I could possibly win this. Islam's a sportsman. So for what I've seen with the Russians, when I compete against them, you have the sportsman, which is like Magomed Pirov, Islam. And you have the guy that's a mix with, and you have the bruiser, which is like Omar Akhmedov, and the guys that. And I feel like Islam's a sportsman. You have to go out there and be a bruiser. And I feel like with Volkanovski being a little shorter, I feel like he might be able to stop a few shots. It's something that have to clinch him up. But I think Volkanovski, if he goes out there and fights hard, which I know he will, and just makes a dogfight and just throws out the technique, I think he can do something.
He's a 3-1 underdog, and he's fighting basically at home. I'm going to call Perth home. I think that's unbelievable because I see it the way you do. That Islam is a real technician, but there's ways to deal with technicians. There's ways, there's just blueprints to make it ugly, make it gritty. And Volkanovski, because he's been so dominant, a lot of people credit him as a real technician and clinician. But say, no, but he's a brawler when he needs to be. Go see his fight with Ortega. See rounds 2, see rounds 4, see the first part of 5. I mean, he is a dirty, nasty brawler when he needs to be. And I don't know who's going to win between those two boys. But I will tell you, it bothers me that Volk's a 3-1 underdog. Like, that insults me to some level. 16-0, world champion, ranked number 1, 3-1 dog at home against a guy who 3 months ago the world said should not even be in a world title fight because he doesn't qualify. The MMA world said he shouldn't even be in there with Oliveira. And all of a sudden, that's the guy that's a 3-1 favorite to beat the guy that's never been beaten. That offends me.
Well, you should be offended, but at the same time, when Oliveira was on his street and it was hot doing his thing, everyone said he's the next big thing, right? At the moment, he turned his career around. You know, he went from losing, winning, to just winning and stopping people in impressive fashion. Justin Poirier, Michael Chandler, and then all of a sudden Islam comes out and dominates him and stops him. And now with him being stopped, I feel like people are like, you know what? With Habib on the side and the system that come from, with the wrestling and the submission prowess, I feel like, you know, people probably feel like, you know, Volkanovski is in over his head. He's a smaller guy. He's shorter. He has to swarm him. He's gonna take something. He's gonna get through some kicks, some jabs, just to get in close. Who knows what will happen? You know, because sometimes when you eat stuff to come in, it leaves the takedowns open. It leaves a lot of things open. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen until they fight. I think Volkanovski will go out there in shape. He should go out there and just fight and just see what happens. Game plan goes out the window for a while. And now Islam will have a game plan. It'll probably be to control him, take him down, and submit him. Volkanovski has to go out there and be like, hey, I'm gonna take what's available. If it's a kick, I'm gonna kick. If it's a punch, I'm gonna punch. If it's a takedown, I'm gonna go for it. But he has to make it a dogfight. He cannot sit and wait and let it be a point match because he'll get out point.
And Mo, would you agree with this? It's possibly the hardest thing for the audience to see or to understand when we start talking is an athlete who can weaponize pace. When a guy goes so hard at you, it's hard for the audience to see, though. And that is one thing that Islam has used. Islam even used that against Charles. He comes at you harder than anybody else comes at. But I would say that's one of Volkanovski's great weapons. I would say the output of Volkanovski, the fact that he can dig deep, the world championship he needed against Max Holloway in fight number 2, where he had to win the round number 5, and he did. I think he digs deep as anybody, and I'm not willing to concede that the pace is going to Islam. I'm not ready to admit that. And if it doesn't go to Islam, we have a totally different fight than the world's predicting at 3-1 odds.
Well, the pace will go to Volkanovski. He has to, because if he doesn't fight at a fast pace, he'll get outpointed. Now, if you watch the sportsman style of the Russians, they use a lot of them use a Sanda type of style where they throw kicks like Usman. When Usman fought Pitbull can get to him because he's getting outpointed with the kicks. I feel like Islam can use that to the advantage, the range. And I feel like he'll keep it a slow-paced fight. If it's a fast-paced dog fight, it favors Volkanovski. If it's a slow-paced kick, teep, jab, clinch, kick, teep, jab, clinch, hold, takedown, hold him down, then we're gonna have that's gonna be the typical Islam fight. That's the typical Russian fight. You watch the Russians, they will put pressure on you with kicks, punches, feints, get you to the cage, take you down, and keep you on the cage. If Volkanovski can keep the fight in the center of the cage, or keep his back off the cage and make it a dog fight, he can win this fight. He cannot be on the cage. He needs to stay in the center. He needs to let them hands fly. He has to. Because if your back is on the cage versus any of these new age Russian fighters, you'll be on your back and on the cage for the round. Look at Yaroslav when he fought Lima. Look at all of Khabib's fights. Khabib only had problems with people when he shot takedowns in the center of the cage because he didn't have the cage. He had the cage, the fence to use to utilize the takedown. Out in the open, it's a little different. But against the cage, they're solid. But in the open, I pointed to when he fought Khabib. Khabib had a hard time taking him down in the open because they use the cage as a crutch and stuff.
I love that you made that observation because I've noticed that same thing, but I've never heard anybody say it. And so many people, hey, I have to worry about Khabib taking me down. It's like, whoa, let me slow you down. Just keep your back off the fence. Just don't worry about the takedown. Just keep your back off the fence. Even Conor gave Khabib problems, but they were in the center of the octagon, and it gave him problems. And Khabib didn't, but it is totally different. And quite frankly, at least for me as a wrestler, if the other guy's against the fence, I have a hard time taking him down. I can hold him there, but getting him down is hard. Khabib has developed a system, but I love the point that you made. Don't worry about the takedown. Don't worry about that single and double quite as much. Keep your back off the fence. Just keep your back off the fence. If you do that, you will propose a totally different fight to all of Team Nurmagomedov.
And then another thing, Team Nurmagomedov, they actually utilize a lot of grappling. And the secret to beating Russians, not a secret, but a lot of the Russians from combat, I'm a big boxing fan. So I remember watching a lot of the Russian boxers that come in and they're a problem until they face a person that could throw good body shots. Triple G had problems with Canelo body shots. Kovalev had problems with Andre Ward and Canelo via body shots. I can name a plethora of boxers. Alexander Usyk when he fought Anthony Joshua, when he fought Michael Hunter. He landed good body shots and it bugged him. Lomachenko, when he fought Teofimo Lopez, body shots affected him. I don't know what it is with them, but I feel like if Volkanovski can touch the body and stay in the center of the cage, I think he can do something. He can possibly win the fight. You have to sap some energy away from these guys. Touch the body, touch the calf, but you have to do something that makes them waver, makes their breathing pick up. If you watch Khabib and Islam, they're like this. Breathe through their nose. But if you can make them breathe through their mouth, if you can keep the pace up and make them, flustered, you might be able to do something. But if their control is a slow-paced, tit-for-tat, Greg Jackson style fight, Jackson camp, it's a style of fight, like a point-style fighting fight. Volkanovski will lose that. They'll lose it handily. It wouldn't even be close. It'll be boring. It'll be similar to the way I think that Jon Jones and Cyril Gane will be like. Nothing against Jon Jones. I think he's a hell of a fighter. I think he's one of the best fighters of all time. But I think Cyril Gane will just outpoint him. And I think that if Volkanovski doesn't stay off the cage and bring the fight to this man, he'll get outpointed. Outpointed control. In a boring 5-round decision.